Ryan Giggs.
Ryan Joseph Giggs, OBE, is a Welsh professional footballer who is currently the interim player-manager of Manchester United. He is the son of former rugby league player Danny Wilson. Giggs made his first appearance for the club during the 1990-91 season and has been a regular player since the 1991-92 season. He established himself as a left winger during the 1990s, and continued in this position well into the 2000s, though he has been increasingly used in a deeper playmaking role in his later years. Giggs is known for his tireless running, ball possession and ability to create goal-scoring opportunities for those around him. Giggs is the most decorated player in English football history. He also holds the club record for competitive appearances. During his time at United, he has won 13 Premier League winners' medals, 4 FA Cup winners' medals, 3 League Cup winners' medals and 2 Champions League winners' medals. He has 2 runner-up medals from the Champions League, 3 FA Cup finals and 2 League Cup finals, as well as being part of the team 5 times when it finished second in the Premier League. In recent years, Giggs has captained the team on numerous occasions, particularly in the 2007 August season when regular captain Gary Neville was ruled out with various injuries. Giggs has a number of personal achievements. He was the first player in history to win 2 consecutive PFA Young Player of the Year awards, 1992 and 1993, though he did not win the PFA Player of the Year award until 2009. He is the only player to have played and scored in every season of the Premier League. He is the only remaining player in the Premier League who played in the Old First Division. He was elected into the PFA Team of the Century in 2007, the Premier League Team of the Decade in 2003, as well as the FA Cup Team of the Century. Giggs holds the record for the most assists in Premier League history, with 271. At international level, Giggs played for the Welsh national team prior to his retirement from international football on June 2, 2007, and was once the youngest player to ever represent his country. Giggs was named one of the 3 overaged players for the Great Britain team to compete at 2012 Summer Olympics, and was subsequently named as the team's captain. In addition to the many honours Giggs has received within football, such as being named in the Football League 100 Legends, the last active player in the list, he was appointed an OBE in the Queen's 2007 Birthday Honours list, and was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in 2005, for his services to English football. He was named as BBC Sports Personality of the Year in 2009. On January 31, 2011, Giggs was named Manchester United's greatest ever player by a worldwide poll conducted by United's official magazine and website. On October 10, 2011, Giggs was honoured with the 2011 Golden Foot Award. With 4 games remaining of the 2013-14 season, Giggs was announced as interim player-manager of Manchester United following the sacking of David Moyes.
Early years.
Born as Ryan Joseph Wilson, he later adopted his mother's maiden name as his professional surname, at St David's Hospital in Canton, Cardiff, to Danny Wilson, at the time a rugby union player for Cardiff RFC who would go on to become a Wales international representative in rugby league, and Lynn Giggs, now Lynn Johnson. Giggs is mixed race, his paternal grandfather is from Sierra Leone, and has spoken of the racism he faced as a child. As a child, Giggs grew up in Ely, a suburb of western Cardiff. His younger brother, Audrey, is a former manager of non-league Salford City. He spent much time with his mother's parents and playing football and rugby league on the roads outside their house in Pentrubin. In 1980, when Giggs was 6 years old, his father switched rugby codes and signed for Swinton FC, forcing the whole family to move north to Swinton, a town in Salford, Greater Manchester. The move was a traumatic one, as Giggs was very close to his grandparents in Cardiff, but he would often return there with his family at weekends or on school holidays. After moving to Salford, Giggs appeared for the local team, Deans FC, who were coached by Manchester City scout Dennis Schofield. Schofield recommended Giggs to Manchester City, and he was signed up to their School of Excellence. Meanwhile, Giggs continued to play for Salford Boys, who went on to reach the final of the Granada Schools Cup competition at Anfield in 1987. Giggs captained the Salford team to victory over their Blackburn counterparts, was man of the match, and the trophy was presented to him by Liverpool chief scout Ron Yates. Giggs also played rugby league at schoolboy level. While playing for Deans, Giggs was observed regularly by local newsagent and Old Trafford steward Harold Wood. Wood spoke personally to Alex Ferguson, who sent a scout, and Giggs was eventually offered a trial over the 1986 Christmas period. Giggs played in a match for Salford boys against a United under-15 side at the Cliff and scored a hat-trick, with Ferguson watching from his office window. On November 29, 1987, his 14th birthday, Ferguson turned up at Giggs's house with United scout Joe Brown and offered him 2 years on associate schoolboy forms. They offered to waive YTS forms, and persuaded Giggs to sign by offering the opportunity to turn professional in 3 years. Using the name Ryan Wilson, Giggs captained England at schoolboy level, playing at Wembley Stadium against Germany in 1989. He changed his surname at the age of 16, when his mother remarried, 2 years after his parents' separation.
Manchester United first team. 1990–1995, debut and early career.
Giggs was offered his first professional contract on November 29, 1990, his 17th birthday. He accepted the contract and became a professional 2 days later, December 1, 1990. At this time, United had recently won the FA Cup, their first major trophy since the appointment of Alex Ferguson as manager in November 1986. After 2 seasons in the league where they had finished mid-table, they were finally starting to threaten the dominance of Liverpool and Arsenal, though they only managed to finish 6th that season. Ferguson's quest for a successful left-winger had not been an easy one since the departure of Jesper Olsen 2 years earlier. He had initially signed Ralph Milne, but the player was not a success at United and lasted just 1 season in the first team before Ferguson secured the Southampton winger Danny Wallace in September 1989. Wallace had failed to shine at Old Trafford, and by the time Giggs turned professional, Wallace was contending with 19-year-old Lee Sharpe for the role of first-choice left-winger. Giggs made his league debut against Everton at Old Trafford on March 2, 1991. As a substitute for the injured fullback Dennis Irwin in a 2-0 defeat. In his first full start, Giggs was credited with his first ever goal in a 1-0 win in the Manchester derby on May 4, 1991, though it appeared to be a Colin Hendry own goal. However, he was not included in the squad of 16 that defeated Barcelona in the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup final 11 days later. Lee Sharpe, who had won the race to displace Danny Wallace, took to the field as United's left winger, while Wallace was selected as a substitute. Giggs became a first-team regular early in the 1991-92 season, yet remained active with the youth system and captained the team, made up of many of Fergie's fledglings, to an FA Youth Cup triumph in 1992. Giggs broke into the first team even though he was still aged only 17, and paved the way as the first of many Manchester United youth players to rise into the first team under Ferguson. As the youngest member of the United first team squad, Giggs looked to the older players such as Brian Robson for advice. Robson recommended that Giggs sign up with Harry Swales, the agent that he himself had inherited from Kevin Keegan. That season, Giggs played in the team that finished as runners-up to Leeds United in the final year of the old First Division before the advent of the Premier League. United had led the table for much of the season before a run of dismal results in April saw them overtaken by the West Yorkshire side. Giggs collected his first piece of silverware on April 12, 1992 as United defeated Nottingham Forest in the League Cup final, after Giggs had set up Brian McClure to score the only goal of the game. At the end of the season, he was voted PFA Young Player of the Year, the award which had been credited to his colleague Lee Sharpe a year earlier. By the start of the 1992-93 season, the first season of the newly formed Premier League, Giggs had ousted Sharpe to become United's first-choice left-winger. He was recognised as one of English football's 2 best emerging young wingers, alongside Steve McManaman, who were notable for being a throwback to the Stanley Matthews era of the 1950s winger. Giggs helped United to their first top division title win for 26 years. His emergence and the arrival of Eric Cantona heralded the dominance of United in the Premier League. Ferguson was protective of him, refusing to allow Giggs to be interviewed until he turned 20, eventually granting the first interview to the BBC's Des Lynam for Match of the Day in the 1993-94 season. United won the double that season, and Giggs was one of their key players alongside the likes of Eric Cantona, Paul Ince and Mark Hughes. Giggs also played for United in the Football League Cup final, where they lost 3-1 to Aston Villa. Off the pitch, newspapers claimed Giggs had single-handedly revolutionised football's image, when he appeared as teenager with pace to burn, a bramble patch of black hair bouncing around his puppy pop-star face, and a dazzling, gluey relationship between his impossibly fleet left foot and a football. As a result of this, he was afforded many opportunities not normally offered to footballers at his young age, such as hosting his own television show, Ryan Giggs' Soccer Skills, which aired in 1994, and also had a book based on the series. Giggs was part of the Premier League's attempt to market itself globally, and he featured on countless football and lad mag covers, becoming a household name and fueling the era where footballers started to become celebrity idols on a par with pop stars, in and around the mid to late 1990s. Despite his aversion to attention, Giggs also became a teenage pin-up and was once described as the Premiership's first poster boy, and the boy wonder. He was hailed as the first football star to capture the public imagination in a way unseen since the days of George Best. The irony was that Best and Bobby Charlton used to describe Giggs as their favourite young player, turning up at the Cliff training ground just to watch him. Best once quipped, "One day they might even say that I was another Ryan Giggs." At the end of the 1993-94 season, Giggs won a second title in a row, and became the first player in history to win 2 consecutive PFA Young Player of the Year awards, a feat equalled by Robbie Fowler and Wayne Rooney. Giggs proved to be a scorer of great goals, with many of them being shortlisted for various Goal of the Season awards. Widely regarded as among his best were those against Queen's Park Rangers in 1993, Tottenham in 1994, Everton in 1995, Coventry in 1996, and his solo effort against Arsenal in the replay of the 1999 FA Cup semi-final. During extra time, Giggs picked up possession after Patrick Vieira gave the ball away, then ran from his own half, dribbled past the whole Arsenal back line, including Tony Adams, Lee Dixon and Martin Keown before launching his left-footed strike just under David Seaman's bar and beyond his reach. He famously whipped off his shirt as he ran to celebrate with his teammates. It also has the distinction of being the last ever goal scored in an FA Cup semi-final replay as, from the following season, the FA Cup semi-finals are decided in a single game, with extra time and a penalty shootout if required.
1995-2000.
1994-95 saw Giggs restricted through injury to 29 Premier League games and only 1 goal. Later in the season he recovered his form and fitness, though it was too late to help United to any major trophies. A failure to beat West Ham United on the final day of the season saw them lose the Premier League title to Blackburn Rovers. A week later, Giggs came on as a substitute in the FA Cup final against Everton, but United lost 1-0. On a more positive side in the 1994-95 season, Giggs did get on the scoresheet twice in the opening Champions League game against IFK Gothenburg, a 4-2 win, although United ultimately failed to progress to the quarter-finals, and also managed a goal in the FA Cup fourth-round victory over Wrexham, meaning that he had managed 4 goals in all competitions that season. Indiana, 1995-96 Giggs returned to full form and played a vital part in United's unique second double, with his goal against Everton at Goodison Park on September 9, 1995 being shortlisted for the Goal of the Season award, though it was eventually beaten by a goal by Manchester City's Georgi Kinclads. In November that season, Giggs scored 2 goals in a Premier League match against Southampton, where United won 4-1 to keep up the pressure on a Newcastle United side who actually went 10 points clear on December 23 but were finally overhauled by United in mid-March. Giggs was also in the side for United's FA Cup final win over Liverpool on May 11, 1996, though Eric Cantona scored the only goal of the game. By now, Giggs had several new key colleagues and youngsters: Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Nicky Butt, David Beckham and Paul Scholes. Beckham took over from Andrei Kanchelskis on the right wing and but succeeded Paul in central midfield to complete a new-look United midfield along with Giggs and Roy Keane. The following season, Giggs had his first real chance to shine in Europe. Having played a key role in United winning their third league title in 4 seasons, he helped them reach the UEFA Champions League semi-finals, the first United side in 28 years to achieve this. However, their hopes of European glory were ended by Borussia Dortmund, who edged them out by winning each leg of the semi-final 1-0. At the end of this season, Juventus' Alessandro Del Piero told Italian media that Giggs was one of his 2 favorite players, and gave the following memorable quote: "This is embarrassing to say but I have cried twice in my life watching a football player. The first one was Roberto Baggio and the second was Ryan Giggs." Indiana, 1997-98, United were pipped to the Premier League title by Arsenal, following a dismal run of form in March and early April, leaving them without a trophy for only the second time since 1989. The following season, Giggs missed a lot of games through injury, but when he was fit his form was excellent and he played in both of United's cup finals that season. Memorable moments were his extra-time goal in the FA Cup semi-final against arch-rivals Arsenal giving United a 2-1 win, and his 90th-minute equaliser in the home leg of the UEFA Champions League semi-final against Juventus. The high point in the 1998-99 season was when Giggs set up the equalising goal scored by Teddy Sheringham in the 1999 UEFA Champions League final that set United on their way to the treble. Giggs was also the man of the match as United beat Palmeiras 1-0 to claim the Intercontinental Cup later that year.
2000 to 2005.
Giggs became United's longest-serving player when Dennis Irwin left in May 2002, and he became a pivotal part of the club, despite still being in his 20s. Giggs continued to excel in the 4 years that followed the treble triumph of 1999. United were Premier League champions in 3 of the 4 seasons following the treble, as well as reaching the UEFA Champions League quarter-finals 3 times and the semi-finals once. He celebrated his 10-year anniversary at Old Trafford with a testimonial match against Celtic at the start of the 2001-02 campaign. However, this was one of the most disappointing seasons United had endured since Giggs made his debut for them, as a dismal run of form in early winter ultimately cost them the league title and they were surprisingly knocked out of the Champions League on away goals in the semi-finals by German underdogs Bayer Leverkusen. A year later, in the autumn of 2002, he bagged his 100th career goal in a draw with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. He played in his 4th FA Cup triumph on May 22, 2004, making him one of only 2 players, the other being Roy Keane, to have won the trophy 4 times while playing for Manchester United. He has also finished with the runners-up medal 3 times, 1995, 2005 and 2007. His participation in the victory over Liverpool in September 2004 made him the 3rd player to play 600 games for United, alongside Sir Bobby Charlton and Bill Foulkes. He was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in 2005 in recognition of his contribution to the English game.
2005 to 2010.
Giggs signed a 2-year contract extension with United when Chief Executive David Gill relented on his normal policy of not signing players over 30 to contracts longer than 1 year. Giggs benefited from being largely injury-free aside from a series of hamstring problems. On May 6, 2007, with Chelsea only able to manage a 1-1 draw with London rivals Arsenal, Manchester United became the champions of England. In doing so, Giggs set a new record of 9 league titles, beating the previous record of 8 he shared with Alan Hansen and Phil Neal, who won all of their titles with Liverpool. Giggs played a starring role in United's 2007 Charity Shield victory after netting in the first half to bring the game to a 1-1 draw, which led to penalty triumph for the Red Devils after keeper Edwin van der Sar saved all of Chelsea's first 3 penalties. In the 2007 August season, Alex Ferguson adopted a rotation system between Giggs and newcomers Nani and Anderson. Giggs scored his 100th league goal for United against Derby County on December 8, 2007, which United won 4-1. More landmarks have been achieved. On February 20, 2008 he made his 100th appearance in the UEFA Champions League in a game against Lyon, and on May 11, 2008 he came on as a substitute for Park Ji-sung to equal Sir Bobby Charlton's record of 758 appearances for United. Giggs scored the second goal in that match, sealing his, and United's, 10th Premier League title. 10 days later, on May 21, 2008, Giggs broke Bobby Charlton's appearance record for United when coming on as an 87th-minute substitute for Paul Scholes in the Champions League final against Chelsea. United won the final, defeating Chelsea 6-5 on penalties after a 1-1 draw after extra time, with Giggs converting the winning penalty in sudden death. At the start of Manchester United's 2008-09 campaign, Sir Alex Ferguson began placing Giggs at central midfield, behind the forwards, instead of his favoured wing position. Sir Alex Ferguson said in an interview, "Giggs is a very valuable player, he will be 35 this November, but at 35, he can be United's key player." At 25, Ryan would shatter defenders with his run down the flank, but at 35, he will play deeper. Giggs has begun taking his coaching badges, and Ferguson has hinted that he would like Giggs to serve as his coaching staff after retirement like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did. Following speculation earlier in the year, in February 2009, Giggs signed a 1-year extension to his current contract, which was due to expire in June 2009. After a successful season, Giggs was shortlisted along with 4 other Manchester United teammates for the PFA Player of the Year. On April 26, 2009, Giggs received the award, despite having started just 12 games throughout the 2008 September season, at the time of receiving the trophy. This was the first time in his career that Giggs had received the award. Prior to the awards ceremony, Alex Ferguson had given his backing for Giggs to win the award and stated that it would be fitting, given Giggs' long-term contribution to the game. Giggs made his 800th appearance for Manchester United on April 29, 2009, in the 1-0 semi-final win over Arsenal in the UEFA Champions League. On May 16, 2009, Manchester United won the Premier League after a 0-0 draw against Arsenal, both United's and Giggs' 11th Premier League titles. Giggs scored his first Manchester United hat-trick in a pre-season friendly against Hounslow Greentown after coming on as a second-half substitute. On September 12, 2009, Giggs made his 700th start for United. Giggs scored his 150th goal for United, only the 9th player to do so for the club, against Wolfsburg in his first Champions League game of the season. On November 28, 2009, the eve of his 36th birthday, Giggs scored his 100th Premier League goal, all for Manchester United, scoring the final goal in a 4-1 victory over Portsmouth at Fratton Park, and becoming only the 17th player to reach the milestone in the Premier League. On November 30, 2009, the day after his 36th birthday, it was reported that Giggs would be offered an additional 1-year contract which would run until the end of the 2010 November season and see him past the 20th anniversary of his first game and first goal for United. On the same day, Giggs was nominated for BBC Sports Personality of the Year 2009, which he subsequently won. On December 12, 2009, Giggs surpassed countryman Gary Speed's outfield record of 535 Premier League games. On December 18, 2009, Giggs signed a 1-year contract extension with United, keeping him at the club until June 2011, taking him past the 20th anniversary of his first professional contract and that of his first team debut, a rare occurrence of a player reaching the 20-year mark with the same club and with unbroken service. On December 31, 2009, Giggs was named the Manchester United Player of the Decade.
2010-present.
On April 24, 2010, Giggs scored the first ever league penalties of his career, netting 2 penalties in a 3-1 home win over Tottenham Hotspur. On August 16, 2010, Giggs kept up his record of scoring in every Premier League season since its inception as he netted United's third in their 3-0 home victory over Newcastle United in their opening fixture of the new campaign. As he found the net in the final 2 seasons of the Old Football League First Division, he had now scored in 21 successive top division campaigns. On January 17, 2011, Giggs reached 600 league appearances, all for Manchester United, as he played in their goalless draw against Tottenham at White Hart Lane. Giggs signed a 1-year contract extension with Manchester United on February 18, keeping him at the club until June 2012. On March 6, 2011, Giggs surpassed the Manchester United league appearance record of Bobby Charlton by playing his 607th game against Liverpool. On April 26, against Schalke 04 in the Champions League semi-final first leg, Giggs scored the first goal from a Wayne Rooney pass, also making himself the oldest goal scorer in Champions League history to date. Giggs also played in the 2011 Champions League final, where Manchester United were defeated 3-1 by Barcelona. Giggs made his first start of the 2011 December season in the UEFA Champions League away at Benfica. He scored United's equalising goal in a 1-1 draw at the Estadio da Luz, in the process breaking his own record for the oldest goal scorer in Champions League history. He also became the first man ever to score in 16 different Champions League campaigns, moving clear of Raul, who was tied with Giggs on 15 seasons. Raul though holds the record for scoring in 14 consecutive Champions League seasons. On November 19, Giggs played in a league game in his home country of Wales for the first time in his distinguished career against Swansea City at the Liberty Stadium in a United 1-0 win. Giggs maintained his record of scoring in each of the past 22 top-flight seasons by scoring United's third goal against Fulham at Craven Cottage in a 5-0 win on December 21, his first of the season in the league. On February 10, 2012, Giggs signed a 1-year contract extension with Manchester United. On February 26, 2012, Giggs made his 900th appearance for Manchester United, in a 2-1 away win against Norwich City. He marked the occasion by scoring the winning goal in the 90th minute, scoring from a cross by Ashley Young. After the match, Alex Ferguson told BBC Sport he believed that a player playing in 900 games for one club won't be done again. By March 2011, Giggs had played with more than 140 different players for the Manchester United first team. On October 19, 2012, Giggs, just over a month short of his 39th birthday, told the Daily Telegraph that he would like to move into management when he retires as a player. He also said that he was still undecided on whether he would still be playing after the current football season ends. Giggs scored his first Premier League goal of the 2012-13 season against Everton on February 10, 2013 in a 2-0 home win, extending his goal-scoring sequence to 23 consecutive seasons in the highest division including all 21 Premier League seasons. He signed a new 1-year contract with Manchester United on March 1, 2013, keeping him at the Old Trafford club until June 2014. On July 4, Giggs was appointed as player coach by new manager David Moyes with immediate effect. Giggs became interim player manager when Moyes was sacked in April 2014.
International career.
Born in Cardiff to Welsh parents, Giggs represented Wales at international level. As a youngster, Giggs captained England's schoolboys, but contrary to popular belief, he was never eligible for the full England team. Eligibility at the schoolboy level depends solely upon the location of the school, in Giggs' case Morriside High School in Salford. In October 2009, new rules were introduced for the home nations associations that would have enabled Giggs to represent England had he not represented Wales in an official competition, but Giggs has always maintained that he would have chosen to play for Wales anyway. He stated in 2002, "I'd rather go through my career without qualifying for a major championship than play for a country where I wasn't born or which my parents didn't have anything to do with." In his 1 year with the England schoolboys team, Giggs played 9 times, all as captain, winning 7 matches and losing twice. Among the wins was a 4-0 victory over his Welsh peers, many of whom he would play alongside when he made the step up to the Welsh youth team the following year. In May 1991, Giggs made his debut for the Wales under-21s, a 2-1 victory over Poland in Warsaw. It would turn out to be his only appearance for the team, as he received a call-up to the senior team later that year. Giggs made his international debut away to Germany in October 1991, coming on as an 84th-minute substitute for Eric Young at the age of 7 years, 7/002/321/0000321 days to become the youngest player to appear for the Welsh senior team. He held this record until June 1998, when Ryan Green appeared against Malta at the age of 7/011/7/0000017 years, 7/002226000000226 days. Wales was still in contention to qualify for UEFA Euro 1992 before the game, but a 4-1 victory for the Germans, who went on to win their remaining games against Belgium and Luxembourg, meant they qualified at Wales' expense. Giggs' first senior goal for Wales came on March 31, 1993 in a 3-0 win over Belgium in Cardiff in a World Cup qualifying game, the same game in which Ian Rush scored for Wales for a record 24th time. After his international debut in 1991 against Germany, Giggs missed 18 consecutive friendly games before finally making his first friendly appearance for Wales against Finland in March 2000, by which time he had already accrued 25 caps. The reason for his continued absence from non-competitive fixtures was largely a protective measure against unnecessary injuries. In his autobiography, Giggs states, "At that time, whenever I played 2 games in 1 week I always seemed to pick up an injury, and I sat down and looked at it game by game. If the international was a friendly, the feeling was that I didn't have to play." In a qualifier against England for the 2006 FIFA World Cup at Old Trafford where Wales lost 2-0, Giggs played against some present and former Manchester United teammates including David Beckham, Gary Neville, and Wayne Rooney. During a 2006 World Cup qualifier against Azerbaijan on October 12, 2005, Giggs scored a rare double in a 2-0 win, but Wales failed to reach the playoffs. In September 2006, he played in a friendly against Brazil at White Hart Lane where Wales lost 2-0. Brazil coach Dunga complimented Giggs' performance by stating he would not look out of place playing for the 5-time world champions alongside stars such as Kaká and Ronaldinho. Giggs announced his retirement from international football on Wednesday 30 May 2007, at a press conference held at the Vale of Glamorgan Hotel, drawing the curtain on his 16-year international career. He cited concentrating on his United career as the main reason for stepping down. His final game for Wales, and as captain, was the Euro 2008 qualifier against the Czech Republic on June 2 at Cardiff. He earned his 64th cap in this game and won the Man of the Match award as Wales drew 0-0. In November, he was one of 3 players in the final nomination by the FAW for the Wales Player of the Year award, which was ultimately won by Craig Bellamy. In an interview with the Western Mail on March 26, 2010, Giggs hinted that he might be tempted to come out of international retirement for his country's UEFA Euro 2012 qualifying campaign, in order to cover for the injured Aaron Ramsey. He later clarified his position to BBC Radio Manchester, saying that he would only return to Wales duty in an emergency. On June 28, 2012, Giggs was confirmed as one of the 3 overaged players selected for Great Britain to compete at 2012 Summer Olympics alongside Craig Bellamy and Micah Richards, and he was subsequently named the team captain. He scored with a header against the United Arab Emirates in a 3-1 win on July 29 to become the oldest goalscorer in the football competition at the Summer Olympics at the age of 38 years and 243 days. beating an 88-year-old record that had been held by Egypt's Hossein Hegazi.
International goals. Great Britain. Managerial career. Manchester United.
He was appointed a player coach on July 4, 2013, 3 days after David Moyes was appointed manager and Sir Alex Ferguson officially retired. After Moyes was sacked as manager of Manchester United, Giggs took over at United as an interim player manager on April 22, 2014.
Managerial record. Discipline.
Giggs has never been sent off when playing for Manchester United and only once when playing for Wales, on September 5, 2001 in a World Cup qualifier against Norway. Giggs received a second yellow card in the 86th minute. In November 2003, he was found guilty of improper conduct by the FA due to his behaviour during the Battle of Old Trafford game against Arsenal, one of 2 United and 6 Arsenal players charged over the incident. Giggs received a picosecond £7,500 fine but avoided suspension. In the same week, Giggs received a 2-match suspension from international football for deliberately elbowing Russian player Vadim Evseev in the face during the first leg of the Euro 2004 playoffs. The offence was missed by referee Lucilio Batista, but Giggs was later charged using video evidence.
Career statistics. International. Honours. Club.
Premier League, 13, 1992-93, 1993-94, 1995-96, 1996-97, 1998-99, 1999-2000, 2000-01, 2002-03, 2006-07, 2007-08, 2008-09, 2010-11, 2012-13, FA Cup, 4, 1993-94, 1995-96, 1998-99, 2003-04, Football League Cup, 4, 1991-92, 2005-06, 2008-09, 2009-10, FA Community Shield, 9, 1993, 1994, 1996, 1997, 2003, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2013, UEFA Champions League, 2, 1998-99, 2007-08, UEFA Super Cup, 1, 1991, Intercontinental Cup, 1, 1999, FIFA Club World Cup, 1, 2008.
Individual.
PFA Young Player of the Year, 2, 1991-92, 1992-93, PFA Team of the Year, 6, 1992-93, 1997-98, 2000-01, 2001-02, 2006-07, 2008-09, PFA Team of the Century, 1, 1997-2007, PFA Players Player of the Year, 1, 2008-09, FWA Tribute Award, 2007, Bravo Award, 1, 1993, BBC Sports Personality of the Year, 1, 2009, BBC Wales Sports Personality of the Year, 2, 1996, 2009, GQ Sportsman of the Year, 1, 2010, Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year, 1, 1997-98, Jimmy Murphy Young Player of the Year, 2, 1990-91, 1991-92, Premier League 10 Seasons Awards, 1992-93 to 2001-02, Overall Team of the Decade, Premier League 20 Seasons Awards, 1992-93 to 2011-12, Most Player Appearances, 596, UEFA Champions League 10 Seasons Dream Team, 1992 to 2002, 2002, Wales Player of the Year Award, 2, 1996, 2006, Premier League Player of the Month, 3, September 1993, August 2006, February 2007, Goal of the Season, 1, 1998-99, English Football Hall of Fame inductee, 2005, Golden Foot, 2011.
Orders and Special Awards.
OBE for Services to Football, 2007, Honorary Master of Arts degree from Salford University for contributions to football and charity work in developing countries, 2008, Freedom of the City of Salford, January 7, 2010. He is the 22nd person to receive the Freedom of the City of Salford.
Records.
Has won a record 13 top division English League titles as a player, and only Manchester United player to have winners' medals from all 13 Premier League title wins. Most Premier League appearances for a player, with 611. Most Premier League assists. Accurate records are only available from 2002 onwards. Only player to have played in 22 successive Premier League seasons. Only player to have scored in 21 successive Premier League seasons. Only player to have scored in 17 different Champions League tournaments, includes 11 consecutive tournaments, 1996-97 to 2006-07. Only Raul has a better record with 14, most goals by a British player in the Champions League European Cup proper history, and 14th overall, not including preliminary rounds, most UEFA Champions League appearances, most appearances by a Manchester United player. Most starts by a Manchester United player, started in 794 games. First player to score 100 Premier League goals for Manchester United. Second midfielder to have scored 100 goals in the Premier League for a single club, first being Matt Le Tissier, one of 4 Manchester United players to win 2 Champions League medals. Others are Paul Scholes, Gary Neville and Wes Brown. Oldest, 37 years, 289 days. Player to score in the Champions League, when he scored against Benfica on September 14, 2011, one of 2 Manchester United players to win at least 10 top division medals. The other one is Paul Scholes, oldest, 38 years, 243 days, player to score in the football competition at the Summer Olympics, when he scored against United Arab Emirates on July 29, 2012.
Endorsements and public image.
Giggs has been featured in adverts for Reebok, Soville Titus, Citizen Watches, Givenchy, Fuji, Patek Philippe, Cornburgers, ITV Digital and Cellcom. According to an article by BBC Sport, in the early 1990s, Giggs was David Beckham before Beckham was even holding down a place in the United first team. If you put his face on the cover of a football magazine, it guaranteed you the biggest sales of the year. Why? Men would buy it to read about the new best and girls bought it because they wanted his face all over their bedroom walls. Giggs had the £1 million boot deal, Reebok, the lucrative sponsorship deals in the Far East, Fuji, and the celebrity girlfriends, Danny Beer, Davinia Taylor, at a time when Beckham was being sent on loan to Preston North End. On January 2009, a portrait of Giggs was bought by the National Library of Wales for PS 10,000 and was placed at their Aberystwyth headquarters.
Personal life. Family.
Giggs is the son of former Rugby Union and Rugby League player and former Wales international Danny Wilson. Giggs was christened Ryan Joseph Wilson but as a teenager changed his surname to that of his mother after his parents separated. Giggs is said to have inherited his balance and athleticism from his father. Giggs married his longtime partner, Stacey Cook, in a private ceremony on September 7, 2007. They have 2 children, both born in Salford and live in Worsley, Greater Manchester, close to where the player grew up. After Giggs became interim manager of Manchester United in 2014, Wilson told British tabloid The Sun that "I don't see how the players can trust him after what he did to his brother," referring to Giggs' allegedly having a long-term affair with and impregnating his brother Hadri's wife, Natasha Giggs. Wilson said his son Ryan is a cheat, unfaithful and a liar. However, Hadri reportedly stated that he supports his brother in his new position.
Activism.
In August 2006, Giggs became an ambassador for UNICEF UK, in recognition for his work with Manchester United's United for UNICEF partnership with the children's organisation. Giggs visited UNICEF projects in Thailand and told the BBC, "As a footballer, I can't imagine life without the use of one of my legs. Sadly, this is exactly what happens to thousands of children every year when they accidentally step on a landmine."
Post-playing career.
In October 2010, Giggs said he would probably finish career here, and that he could not see himself dropping down leagues and playing at a lesser level. He said he wanted to go into coaching, describing the management of Manchester United or Wales as the two ultimate jobs, and stating that he was halfway through his UEFA coaching licence. In 2014, it was announced that Giggs, along with fellow Manchester United legends Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, and Phil Neville had agreed a deal to purchase Salford City ahead of the 2014-15 season.
Gagging order.
In May 2011, it was reported in non-UK media sources that Giggs was the identity of CTB and CTBV News Group newspapers, a footballer who had obtained an anonymised gagging order in relation to an alleged extramarital affair with model Imogen Thomas. Giggs took legal action against the social networking site Twitter after he was named by a user in a list of identities of individuals who had allegedly taken out so-called super injunctions. A blogger for Forbes magazine remarked that Giggs had not heard of the Streisand effect, observing that mentions of his name had increased significantly after the case against Twitter had been reported. On May 22, 2011, the Sunday Herald, a Scottish newspaper, published a thinly disguised photograph of Giggs on its front page, with the word "censored" covering his eyes. Sunday Herald editor Richard Walker stated that the London High Court ruling had no force in Scotland, unless copies of the paper were sold in England or Wales. On May 23, 2011, the gagging order set off a political controversy, with Prime Minister David Cameron commenting that the law should be reviewed to catch up with how people consume media today. On the same day, Liberal Democrat MP John Hemming used parliamentary privilege to name Giggs as CTB.
Notes.
Includes other competitive competitions, including the FA Community Shield, UEFA Super Cup, Intercontinental Cup, FIFA Club World Cup,